Hey everybody, Charlie 902 here, and welcome back to Star Citizen. Today at the IAE Expo, well, I guess that's a little redundant, Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2952, we have Crusader and Tumbril, also broken AI for the server that I'm on right now. But you can see the huge Crusader ships back here. Let's take a look at the map. Looks like we have AH4. And we've got the main hall and below. So let's go ahead and check it out. So Crusader, I absolutely love the design aesthetic of Crusader ships. They take a lot from like modern plane manufacturers like Boeing and Lockheed. And just look at these things. These things are massive. These are the Hercules series of ships. The A2s in the back, and these Tumbril tanks will actually fit inside of here. We actually have the... was it C2 is over here, and this is the M2 here. Yep. So M2 is the military variant. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. If we can open the ramps. Sometimes it's a little tough to interact with these ships. There we go, open. So as you can see, there's a ramp on the front. It's a slow ramp, but it is very cool. So these are cargo transport ships, all except for the rear one back there, and we'll talk about that in a second. But that's the civilian cargo transport. This is the military cargo transport. Military variant has extra weapons. You see there's no weapons underneath the chin there, but there is up here. And it's meant to have extra armor. Now the downside is you carry less cargo in this variant. Even though the volume is the same, the overall weight of the ship will be different, causing you to be able to carry less cargo. Then if we open up the back here, you'll see that it's roll through. So it's really well suited for vehicles. So you can have vehicles roll on through the back, land, and have them roll out on the front. Very, very easy access. So you have a ladder here, takes you up to the second level. We also have an elevator. Now this elevator will take you down to the bottom too. I love elevators that do that, to allow you a secondary exit from the ship. But that's pretty much all there is to this floor. It's just this cargo bay. We're going to head up top to habitation and the bridge. We'll hit the bridge last, just so we can kind of check everything else here. So all your components are going to be in here. You can see here it got life support. We have storage here that you can actually open. Check that out. And let's see. They're kind of spread out here. More storage. Here we go. More storage. There you go. And then there are some components dotted about through there. So now we're on the left side, our port side of the ship. Here's where we have the auxiliary crew area. All right, so it looks like some computer components there. We got some drop seats. So we can actually transport troops with this. Or if you're transporting their vehicles, the troops themselves, or the operators themselves, have somewhere to sit. You've got an armory back here. Pretty nice. Suits and weapons. Boots and pants. Uh-oh. Door is being kind of janky. And further back, we've got more components and engineering station for the engine. Component access here as well. That's your coolers. Sweet. All right, and then as we head across here, you can kind of see the face of God back here. This is mirrored on the other side, so more components on this side. And then this is actually the crew for the ship itself. This is their kind of like hangout mess area. I got some suit storage. Got a computer over here. A couple of bunks. A couple of water closets here. Restrooms. Complete with floating displays. More bunks. More storage. Excuse me a second. I have to cough. All right. Heading on. Okay, so as we head towards the front, we see that both paths kind of converge into a central tunnel here. We have more component access. All right, and then we've got yet more, I believe. Yep, more component. Those are the shields there. Then we have escape pods, I believe. Yes, escape pods. And we should have the bridge, complete with some smaller components here. All right, so bridge is pretty cool. Even in here, let's see if it'll let us access it. This drawer will come out and you can put pistol. Oh, there it is. You can put pistols in there, which I think is pretty cool. So these seats are on tracks. They will slide forward to give you a better view, kind of like this. The one thing I don't like about this series of ships, though, is you see how far the bridge kind of hangs over the front of the landing gear here. When you're landing the ship, it's real easy to land in such a way to where the front end will tip down. And you have to either open up the ramp to kind of push the ship back up, or you have to try your landing again. It's easier to do than you might think. It's one of the irritations I have with this ship, but overall, I really like this ship. Personally, I don't own one because it does overlap with several other ships I already own. Namely, the Carrack carries a similar amount of cargo, just raw cargo, not vehicles. And it just doesn't make sense for me to have the Carrack and one of these when I can have the Carrack and another ship that does something completely different than just cargo. I also own the Liberator for vehicle transport and spaceship transport. And I feel like the Liberator does a little more for me than this thing does. Now, however, this thing, the C2 series, or C2, M2, and A2 series, they fly really, really well. They're so aerodynamic that even in atmosphere, they fly really well. And they have VTOL too. You can tell with, see this little, see if we can see it here. Right here. So we got VTOL too when you have these landing gears down and the wings kind of folded in this position. It helps with takeoff and set down. Excuse me a second. Sorry, I have such a cough today. So these are the Nova tanks from Tumbril. Being a tanker myself, or ex-tanker, and one who currently teaches current militaries and foreign militaries of the Abrams tanks, I love tanks. Now, with that being said, I would not recommend buying any ground vehicles with actual currency. Just buy these in game. It's not too hard to actually save up the money. You can play for a couple of days and earn one of these, so I'd recommend doing that rather than spending your hard-earned cash. But you got the gunner seat here, pilot and co-pilot. One thing I want to point out is look at this view, right? You wouldn't know it from looking at the front of this vehicle. See? All armor up here, but you can see through it on the other side, which I think is pretty cool. I'm sure it's just a display with cameras. Also, this gun looks a little short. This is the stowed configuration. It actually extends probably about right here once you power up the weapon system, but this is the stowed configuration, which makes it easier to get on and off these ships. Now, we will check out the bottom floor of the A2 here. I'm not going to go inside the ship simply because the top is very similar. Instead of having an armory, you've got remote turret gunner seats. As you can see, there's weapons all over this thing, and they're all kind of facing downwards, which is good for a gunship that's meant to loiter over a target and provide support by fire. Now, this one is a bomber as well. You can still store a tank on here. You can see you can probably fit a couple up here, but you have these specific bomb bays here. And look at these things. Massive. I believe these are size 10. I could be wrong. They may be size 9, but they're massive no matter what they are. These are called, these are the Moabs, the mother of all bombs. And you can actually change these out. I don't know if it's currently in game, but you can change these out with cluster bombs as well. It says open. Does that open the bomb bay doors? Doesn't appear to. Oh no, that opens the rear. Okay. So yeah, you're limited on vehicle size back here, but you can still fit a couple of tanks up front, which is pretty cool, and then provide support by fire. Now, the civilian version over here, you don't have an armory, you don't have a turret room. Instead, you have a larger mess hall. Let's go ahead and head downstairs and check out the concept ships. Also, the A2, I believe, is $750 US. So out of the three, I would probably recommend just the C2. Unless you feel you need a little bit extra armor, you could do the M2. They're all good ships. I just don't see $750 for that. If it hasn't went up, it may have went up in price too. That's the last I checked. It was that much. I feel that's kind of high for that. You can earn it in game just like all other ships. So when there's a disproportionate price per what I perceive as value that you get from the ship, I would just recommend earning in game. However, that A2 is dominating. You can just drop a bomb and just kill everybody on the ground. It's amazing. All right, so here we have the Cyclones. All right, so we've got the RN, which is the recon. Has scanners. We've got the RC, which is the racing variant, which I assume just has a better engine or whatever you can see up here. This one has a scanning dish up top. And then this is the base model, right? Yeah, this is just the base Cyclone, so I think you could put cargo here. Yep. So these are just, well, I mean, what you see is what you get. They're little ATVs. They're not as small as the STV, so they're actually more limited as to where you can put them. But they're very all-terrain, which I really like. If we head over to this side, we should have a couple more variants of it. Should have the MT somewhere. I believe it's that one over there. This is the TR. What's the TR stand for? It's just got a Gatling up top. You can see that. I'm looking for the... Oh, he's standing in the way. Don't know what the TR exactly stands for. Troop? Maybe? This one is the AA version. Yep, it's got the surface-to-air missile launcher here. And then this is the MT. So the MT is today's CCU. So if you're looking for a CCU that can save you, I believe it saves $10. Definitely look at the CCU. It's also on the lower end of the CCU chain, so a lot of people are trying to connect those chains together. This is your opportunity to do that. Out of all the Cyclones, the MT is by far the best. The only downside is those missile pods sticking up there tend to make it a bit taller than the other ones and thus limiting where it can fit into. But you end up with the best of both worlds. You have missiles and a gun. I think that's the best variant, unless you just want the base model that can carry cargo as well. Keep in mind they're open hatch, so you will have to stay in your spacesuit. So here is the Genesis Starliner by Crusader Industries. This is the large personnel transport. This is meant to be like a Boeing 757, 747, maybe even a 777, depending on how you view it on the inside. It's meant to have lots of seats and then like a concierge area up here for like VIPs. And it's basically just a space airplane for transporting people, a commuter plane. I really like it. I think it's a great idea. It does have storage under the bottom, much like modern day airplanes, with a ramp in the back so that you can actually load up vehicles or cargo as well. $400 US, I believe, for this concept, and it's been a concept for a long time, and I don't expect we'll see this for a long time either. That being said, if you're interested in personnel transport and pretty much just printing money, because NPCs will hop in this and you just drive from one place to another, or fly rather, I think it'd be a good money maker. All right, this one here, this is going to be one of your, the C1, one of the Spirit series. This is meant to be kind of like a Cutlass Black competitor. I love the shape of it. And there's actually 3 variants, right? So this is the cargo variant. So you have crew quarters, you've got a bridge, and then you'll have a cargo area. Let's see if I have the other 2 back here. No. Okay, so the C1's the cargo. They have an A1, which is a bomb version, and then they have an E1, which actually adds a second floor with windows for passenger transport. Smaller scale passenger transport, obviously, than the Genesis series. Then here are the Rangers. These are obviously just motorcycles, all-terrain motorcycles. Very small, but so they should fit in a variety of ships, and also just very cool. Like, I like these things. Once again, just buy these in-game. You'll probably start off with enough money to buy those. All right, let's go check out the other hall, and then that's going to wrap it up for today. By the way, Star Citizen just released a ISC episode that unveiled the RSI Galaxy. Who's excited for that? I know I am. I know we'll probably be waiting 4+ years to actually see the thing in the game, but the idea is sound. Mini Star Destroyer with modularity. Definitely interested in that. Star Destroyer only in like the shape of it. We got to go to 4, right? There we go. Apex Hall 4. It's not actually going to be a combat ship, just a large multi-role ship. All right, we're heading over here. We should see a Mercury Star Runner over here. I wonder what else they have. I'm trying to think. Does Tumbril have anything else? I don't think so. Oh, the Starfighters. I did forget about those. Perfect. So we have the Starfighter Inferno and the Starfighter Ion. These are anti-capital heavy fighters. And when I say anti-capital, just take a look at this size 7 Gatling gun here. Once again, anti-capital. This is not going to be very useful for dogfighting, as these things don't handle very well, and the spread on these guns and the fire rate on these guns is not conducive to dogfighting. So fly one of these with a couple of light fighter escorts and do some, not really bombing runs, but some attacking strafing runs on some of these larger ships. Even ships like Cutlasses and above have to fear these things. Like, they will just do massive damage. Got bespoke missile launchers. It is a single-seater fighter, so there's not an interior to speak of. And you cannot change out this weapon. So this Gatling stays on this one. If you come over to this side, we have the Ion. This is more of the sniper with an energy cannon. Cannon, if I can speak correctly. Look at that energy cannon. Huge, right? It's like what Megatron has on his shoulder, right? But this is the energy variant. So this one doesn't have ammo to worry about, but does have all the pros and cons associated with energy weapons. So together they make a great team, along with a couple of fighters to kind of protect them, and you can make some serious damage on any large ship or above, even medium probably. So here we go. Probably my favorite Crusader ship thus far. Having some weird clipping issues with the canopy here. Let's get up front so we can see the whole thing. This is the Mercury Star Runner. You see, it's kind of asymmetric. It's actually a symmetric design with just some like bolt-on stuff to make it asymmetric. And there is a radar dish on the other side, but we'll look at what that does once we hop inside. This is meant to be a smuggler, and it is very fast, extremely fast, with light shielding and light armament. I actually really enjoy this ship. I have this. It's a mainstay in my fleet. It stays in my fleet. There's a couple of downsides to it. Mainly, the only entrance to the ship is this ramp, which I think is kind of an oversight. So it does take a minute to get from ground to your cockpit if you're constantly hopping in and out, like you would when doing rock mining, which you can do with this ship, because look at this cargo bay. Now, since it is a smuggler, there are quite a few hidden sections on this ship. Let's go through the main areas first, and then I'll come back and point out all the hidden sections. First off, this is the... Whoop, gotta turn on the lights. Well, it looks like somebody's already spilled the beans here. This is normally closed. We'll go to that in a second, but this is your component access, right? So you got your coolers, your power, quantum drive, everything back here, all in one area, which is good and bad. Good for the engineers, bad for if you get hit there and get penetrated by a round, you could potentially cripple your ship by taking down multiple systems at once. So this is meant to be a data runner and smuggler. So here are the servers for data running. There's also a guy in a top hat. Hello, sir. Then you have a scanner over here, which is meant to scan and intercept data, I guess, and signals. Now this is supposed to be closed and hidden, so we'll just close it and pretend it's not there. Because look, you'll never notice it was there unless you knew it was there. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a whole sneaky side to this ship. Then we have the top and bottom turret access here. They're both manned turrets, so you just get in the bottom turret or the top as you see fit. A lot of inspiration is taken from the Millennium Falcon on this. Over to the right is habitation. Can we turn on the lights? There we go. So habitation, much like the C2, A2, and M2, looks very similar here. You've got restrooms, storage, and you've got your access here. Now this, once again, in the floor is supposed to be closed. You're not supposed to know that's there. You can see how it's just kind of hidden. We'll come back to recreation. Let's go look at the bridge real quick. You do have weapon racks. You got a hallway that kind of just exists here. I feel like it's kind of wasted space, like an elevator would have been great there. You got more weapon racks, and then you have the bridge itself, right? Very reminiscent of the C2, A2, and M2, except for you have more visibility down, which I like. This really helps with landing. You have great visibility left and right, and pretty good above. Actually, really good above. You can see it stops right there. All right, so when we head back to habitation, there is a space chess room and kitchen. We'll see it in just a second. Very reminiscent of, once again, Star Wars. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to take the white queen. Is this one the queen? I don't know which one I grabbed, but you're supposed to place it over here. Come on, place it. Exit. No, don't drop it. Grab. Place. Okay, it's not. It's kind of letting me place it, but not in the right spot. Oh. Okay, won't let me place it. Almost. Trying to place it, it's not working. Let's just put it here. Now let's try to grab it. Now let's try to place it. If it doesn't work this time, I'll just tell you what it does. Yeah, it's not letting me do it for some reason. Okay. Anyway, you place the piece there. This chess table rotates away to reveal an underground passage. Let's just get in the underground passage another way. So we're going to go here. You have to know this is here, but most people do. And you end up in kind of an underground, not underground, but undership area here, which would make any Aliens fan very scared, claustrophobic. So you see it will pop up in various areas. So if we come over here. All right, so here you go. So it tells you this is scanning. So you open this up and that'll take you to the scanning area that we saw before. Then you can head up here. Let's see if we can open it from below. We should be able to. This should be habitation right here. There we go. Okay, can we get out? There we go. So I moved it out the way so you can see where it would go. Now, there's an extensive network down there. It does go to every room. Come on, open up. And there's a hidden room over here. So you open this panel. You hit open here. This gives way, and you have secure storage right here. It's supposed to be shielded from scanners right there. And then it goes into the tunnel access there. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work. Maybe against NPCs it should work just fine. But if it's other players, then like everybody knows about these hiding spots. So we'll see how well that works out. Who knows? Turn on the lights. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right, so that's the Crusader and Tumbril day. Let me know which ships you're interested, which ones you like, which ones you're going to pick up. If you like my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode, which tomorrow is going to be... Let's see what day it's going to be tomorrow. Oh, where's it at? All right, here it is. Tomorrow is going to be MISC, Musashi Industrial Starflight and Concern. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.